You called on this 10 years ago. You're world famous for your book, Currency Wars, and you have recorded a video. People can go watch it, londonreal.tv/Jim, where you talk about this in more detail. Again, there's not much time left until this is happening, August 22nd. And you, of course, as usual, show how you can also position yourself to profit from this. It's a fragile worldwide situation. I highly recommend everyone check that out. We don't have too much left, Jim, but I wanted to ask you just a couple things. I mean, you know, we've seen the Twitter files come out. It seems like there's constantly more and more information about coordinated efforts by the government to restrict freedom of speech, to restrict commentary on Ukraine, and again, for someone like me who was a victim of all of that in 2020 and 2021, and who at the time thought maybe I was going crazy when I saw 8 different technology platforms shut me down in a 24-hour period. And I thought, I'm clearly losing my mind because there's no conspiracies out there. And then I read something like the Twitter files and I saw that, oh, there actually was a coordinated effort going from the government that was supposed to protect my First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. But that's another time, another documentary film. What do you see going on here? And has it been resolved at all? Has it even been addressed by the mainstream media or by Washington?
The answer is no. There's progress. I mean, I do a lot of, I don't consider myself a doom and gloomer. I consider myself an analyst, but I owe it to my audience, my readers, to give the best analysis I can. So if I have a adverse scenario, it's like I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. So there are some bright spots here and there, including Elon Musk taking over Twitter. I've been on Twitter. I joined Twitter in 2009, which is early days. I have well over 300,000 followers. I've been attacked by ISIS. I was used in an ISIS recruiting film in 2015. That's a long story, against my will. I've been fighting the Ukrainian IT army for a year and a half. I'm pretty good at swatting flies, and I guess my Elton John quote, "I'm still standing." So I actually know a lot about it. But as with you, Brian, I've lived through it and lived through the efforts and the shutdowns and YouTube and all that. So is Google reformed? No, they're probably worse. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, no, they're the same leadership is in place. The mainstream media is, or the legacy media, whatever you want to call it. I'm confused. I can't tell if they're not that bright or like willing cheerleaders of Biden or just don't get it. Probably all three. I tell people, if you want to know what's going on in Ukraine, do not read the New York Times, do not read the Washington Post, do not read the Economist, do not read the FT. They're all lying. And I'll be blunt, they're lying, they're propagandists. It's hard to get good sourcing, but it's out there. You just have to kind of work hard at that. But what's come out of the Twitter files is that, okay, we sort of knew because we lived through it, and you did, and I did, and others did, but we sort of knew that the Biden administration behind the scenes and the CDC, Fauci, the fascist, and others were pulling all these strings, suppressing all these other voices who turned out to be right, by the way. They weren't just cranks, like, oh, they actually got it right, so you had to suppress them, etc. We knew that. We kind of, but now we know. Now we have the smoking guns. We have the memos, and we have the channels, and half the FBI retired and went to work for Twitter. But it's actually worse than that. Because what we learned literally in just recent days, I don't know if this is big news in the UK yet, but that the FBI was putting the word through to Twitter to suppress voices at the direction of Ukraine. Because at the same time, you don't have to be pro-Russian. Maybe you're pro-peace. People say, are you favor Russia? I'm a favor of peace. Okay, but I know what that means in the real world. But Ukraine was calling the Department of Justice and the White House to suppress voices who might have expressed some doubt about the wisdom of what's going on in Ukraine, or told people to, maybe we ought to keep out of NATO for Ukraine, et cetera. Using the FBI as a channel, they were then directing Twitter to suppress those voices. So it wasn't just vaccines and masks and all that other garbage from the CDC who were completely corrupt. It was Ukraine pulling the shots, but that's consistent with the whole Biden crime family corruption scandal, which we didn't even have time to talk about, but they were on the payroll of Ukraine. And so they were willing accomplices of suppressing voices who had concerns about Ukraine. So it was actually worse than just the White House.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.